Dame Helen Mirren. There's a moment that happens to most of us eventually, when you stop counting your achievements and start counting the people who made them worth having. For one of Britain's most celebrated actresses, that moment came quietly, somewhere between the premieres and the curtain calls. And what she found when she looked back wasn't a shelf of awards. It was 5 faces she still expects to see walking around the corner. Yes, people ask about the Oscars. They ask about Harry Potter, Downton Abbey, the stages, the famous names. And those things matter. She gave them everything she had. But sit with her long enough, and the conversation drifts somewhere quieter. To someone laughing between takes. To a knock on the dressing room door just to offer a biscuit. To a terrible joke that somehow got funnier every single year. The first person she keeps returning to is Richard Harris. Before you ever saw him, you heard him. That unmistakable voice, equally confident and mischievous, capable of turning the most ordinary story into something that demanded an audience. He'd wander between chairs on set, ask one person a casual question, and 20 minutes later, the entire room had completely forgotten filming was supposed to resume. What surprised people most was his gentleness away from the cameras. If a younger actor was struggling, Richard had a way of making them laugh first and offering advice second. So naturally, it never felt like teaching. He already knew exactly who he was, and that freed him from ever needing to compete with anyone else. Then there's Judi Dench. After decades of friendship, she's never really felt like a colleague. She's simply felt like someone who has always been there. What audiences rarely see is how genuinely she listens. In a profession full of people waiting for their turn to speak, Judi actually hears you. On the longest rehearsal days, when patience was fraying and tempers were shortening, she had a gift for dissolving the tension with a quiet joke or a well-timed funny face. No grand gesture, no dramatic intervention, just herself. Alan Rickman was never the loudest presence in a room, and that was precisely his power. His eyes gave him away. No matter how straight his face, there was always something quietly amused happening behind them. He could sit in comfortable silence for 10 minutes and somehow make it feel completely natural. His humor arrived without announcing itself, so subtle that half the room missed it entirely. Then everyone would catch on at once and start laughing together, while Alan pretended he hadn't said anything clever at all. Michael Gambon was, by her own warmly meant description, quite impossible. Wonderfully unpredictable, never remotely interested in being treated like a legend, always ready to say something so absurd during a quiet moment that no one could keep a straight face. He filled rooms with warmth without ever demanding attention, something you only fully understood once he was gone. And Diana Rigg. Elegant, sharp, deeply kind. But more than any of that, genuinely thoughtful. She remembered small things people mentioned months earlier. She noticed who was sitting alone. She had a wit that could bring down an entire room without ever using it to make a single person feel small. Awards gather dust, films pass into history. But the way someone made you feel on an ordinary afternoon? That stays forever. If this moved you the way it moved us, leave a like and subscribe so you never miss these stories worth remembering.